Please help build this channel by subscribing and liking. My neighborhood had always been a peaceful, close-knit community. But one summer, strange and unsettling events began to unfold. It all started with the Smiths, our friendly neighbors who lived in the quaint house across the street. One sunny afternoon, I waved to them as I headed off to run some errands. They waved back with warm smiles, just as they always did. However, the next morning, when I looked out of my bedroom window, their house stood empty. It was as if they had never lived there, their presence erased overnight. Confused and concerned, I rushed downstairs to talk to my parents about it. They were sitting in the living room, looking strangely calm. I blurted out what I had seen, expecting them to share my worry. Instead, they exchanged knowing glances and told me that the Smiths had moved away suddenly. I couldn't believe it. The Smiths had been a part of our neighborhood for as long as I could remember. As the weeks passed, more families in our neighborhood disappeared without a trace. The Johnsons, our next-door neighbors, were the next to vanish, followed by the Parkers down the block. I felt like I was living in a twilight zone where people evaporated overnight, leaving behind empty homes. One night, unable to sleep, I decided to keep an eye on the houses across the street. I hid behind the curtains, peering out into the darkness. I saw shadows moving within the Smiths' house, heard faint whispers carried by the wind. It sent chills down my spine. I knew I wasn't imagining things, but when I approached my parents again, they dismissed my concerns as mere childhood fantasies. I was left feeling isolated and terrified in my own home, unable to trust anyone, not even my family. Something sinister lurked in our seemingly quiet neighborhood, and I was determined to uncover the truth behind the vanishing neighbors, no matter how unsettling or frightening it might be. In our neighborhood, there was a small playground that had always been the center of our childhood adventures. We spent countless afternoons there, playing on the swings, climbing on the jungle gym, and sharing laughter. But as we grew older, we began to discover the playground's dark secrets. It all began one summer night when we heard something strange. Faint, eerie laughter that echoed through the neighborhood. It was the middle of the night, and my friends and I were having a sleepover. At first, we thought it was just our imaginations running wild, but the laughter persisted. We couldn't resist investigating. Armed with flashlights, we sneaked out and made our way to the playground. The night was eerily quiet, and the playground was shrouded in darkness. As we approached, we heard the laughter again, and this time it was unmistakably coming from the swings and the slides. There, in the dim moonlight, we saw the source of the laughter: children. But they weren't like any children we had ever seen before. Their faces were pale, almost translucent, and their eyes were empty, devoid of emotion. We couldn't believe our eyes. As we cautiously approached, the ghostly children continued to play on the swings, their feet not even touching the ground. We tried to talk to them, but they simply vanished into thin air, like wisps of smoke. Terrified and shaken, we returned home and shared our bizarre encounter with our parents. They chalked it up to an overactive imagination and dismissed our tale as a simple ghost story. But the haunting laughter and the sight of those ghostly children stuck with us. At the end of our tranquil suburban street stood a house that had long captured the imaginations and fears of the neighborhood's children. It was an old, decrepit mansion with boarded-up windows and ivy creeping up its crumbling walls. Locals often whispered stories about the place, labeling it as haunted. It had been abandoned for as long as anyone could remember, and the secrets it held were the stuff of neighborhood legend. One summer afternoon, my curiosity finally got the best of me. I decided to muster the courage to explore the house. As I approached it, the air seemed to grow colder, and a strange feeling settled in the pit of my stomach. The front door was unlocked, and with trembling hands, I pushed it open. The interior of the mansion was even more unsettling. Dust-covered furniture lay draped in white sheets, and the silence was deafening. My footsteps echoed through the empty rooms as I ventured deeper into the house. It felt like I had entered another world, one where time had stood still. As I moved through the darkened hallways, I heard faint whispers that seemed to come from the walls themselves. The sound sent shivers down my spine, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. Then, I stumbled upon a room filled with old photographs, each depicting somber faces from a bygone era. The people in the pictures looked sad and lost, as if they were trapped in time. I couldn't tear my eyes away from them, their mournful expressions etched in my memory. Suddenly, I felt a cold hand on my shoulder. My heart raced as I turned to see a ghostly figure standing behind me. Its eyes were hollow, and it wore an expression of profound sorrow. It whispered my name softly, as if beckoning me to join it in its eternal solitude. I ran out of the mansion in a sheer panic, my heart pounding in my chest. I couldn't explain what I had experienced to anyone. They would surely think I was out of my mind. From that day forward, the mysterious house at the end of the street remained a chilling enigma, a place where the past seemed to linger and the ghosts of its history refused to rest.